There are a ton of different anime genres out there, but my favorite has to be the ones that make you think, what just happened? The ones where the answers are not given to you, and the show wants you to think about what would happen in the next episode, since it's unclear. The ones where after you watch the last episode, you need a little time to just sit there and process what just happened.
Bang.
The ones where days can go by and you still think about what that last episode meant. The ones where every single scene is meticulously thought out and... Wait, shouldn't you get away from that bed immediately? Of course there are the obvious ones like Madoka Magica or, well, Evangelion. But those aren't the focus of today. FLCL, or FLCL, is an anime that is, in my opinion, the perfect example of all of these. A one that portrays quality over quantity, with the original FLCL only consisting of 6 episodes. I will only be talking about the original FLCL, but it is worth noting that there have been made a few spin-offs, or a prequel, a sequel, and a manga which came out a little after the anime. Which, speaking of, started airing in the year of 2000. And looking back on it, I personally think that FLCL is truly a masterpiece. From the absolutely amazing soundtrack and sound effects to the ahead of its time visuals to the fantastical story with realistic undertones, and finally, to the characters. And I'll go more in depth about all the things I just mentioned, starting with the characters. And with that, I'll start by mentioning that all the characters in FLCL have this realistic nonchalance about them. Whether it's something as quote-unquote straightforward as saving the earth to more complicated things like converting to a completely new religion, or even something intangible like growing up and getting older. They always carry the same casual approach to everything. Of course that might just be because of how the characters are written, but I think another big part of it is because of the voice actors. And more on that in a minute. Because I would like to go into 3 specific characters first. Naoto, Mamimi, and Haruka. Starting with Naoto Nandaba, or Takun as some call him. Naoto is our main character and he always tries to have this mature and nonchalant outlook on everything. Like I just mentioned most characters having already. The story takes place in a small country town where, coincidentally, Naoto also lives. But nothing amazing happens here. Or that's at least what Naoto tells us and himself. Again, just to seem more mature and nonchalant than he actually is. Because as I'm sure you've already seen and noticed, amazing things does indeed happen here. But Naoto has a big brother who he views as his inspiration for this mature persona that he aspires to be like. But his big brother also happens to have moved to America to pursue baseball. So he's kinda not in the picture. So transitioning into the second character I want to talk about, Mamimi Samejima. Mamimi is the ex-girlfriend of Naoto's big brother. After Naoto's big brother left both her and Japan, Mamimi grew stuck both on Naoto's big brother and herself as a person. For example, Naoto's big brother's name is Tasuku, so she calls both Naoto and several pets Takun as a nickname for them, as well as a reminder for herself about her past relationship. And instead of going to school, she prefers to sit under a bridge that's in town and smoke or hang out with Naoto whenever he's available, and she also does other fun stuff, I guess. And the final character I want to focus on, and undeniably the most popular character from FLCL, Haruka Haruhara. And this is where it gets confusing, to say the least. So just don't think on it too hard. So, Haruka is actually from space and works with a space organization called the Galactic Space Police Brotherhood, and they're on a mission to hunt and use the powers from the most powerful space pirate, Atomsk, the Pirate King. But Haruka also has this guitar with these weird space powers which can allow other people to channel and use their own weird space powers, but they have to incubate it themselves first or something, which happens in the forehead. Yeah, don't think on it too hard. Haruka is also quite the wild card though. She can go from sort of a mentor to Naoto to a promiscuous and dismissive of Naoto to being nice and kind to Naoto to her just doing whatever she wants. Which is very ambiguous, I know, sorry. So back to the voice actors. Both the Japanese and English voice actors have been highly appraised, and I personally watched it in both Japanese and English, and I can confidently say that they're both amazing. They both feel so passionate and raw and natural. You can really just tell that the voice actors truly enjoyed their roles in this, which just makes it even more of a joy to watch. And this coupled with the great sound effects, and not to mention the absolutely perfect soundtrack, which was all done by the alt rock band The Pillows. They did such a fantastic job at just encapsulating and adding onto the pure ecstasy and adrenaline you already get from watching the show. And even after having watched every episode a decent amount of times, I still get goosebumps from everything previously mentioned, alongside the visuals. For a show that is 24 years old, the animations are still absolutely amazing. It's both incredibly smooth and always looks top tier while still keeping the same old anime vibe. All that whilst it also consistently switches art styles. It can go from like an old anime style to meow meow nya 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 to manga panels to whatever this is to looking more round and modern, if that makes sense. And then back to old anime style, but like a really smooth old anime style. So yeah, on top of all these insane visuals or whatever, we also have the plot, which is just even more confusing. Way more confusing. But at its core, it's essentially about Naota trying to go about his daily life normally, but with Haruka intervening and turning his somewhat normal day-to-day life completely upside down. And eventually, with them even becoming housemates. And we see how Naota handles and deals with Haruka and the other, well, abnormalities in his life, whilst he's still dealing with the emotions and eternal struggles that comes with going through puberty. And a clear sign of this is when Naota gets jealous about Haruka flirting with people other than himself, and him having to realize these emotions that he's feeling about the situation and Haruka herself and what they mean. And we end up finding more about these feelings of his in the finale. We see that Naota obtains the powers of the Pirate King, albeit only for a little while, and don't ask me why or how this happens, but it does. And we see Haruko reveal her true nature and intent, which is her wanting to use the powers of the Pirate King for herself. So now Haruko and Naota have to fight it out. But even with them fighting, and Naota knowing that their relationship could never be anything more, Naota bites the bullet and tells Haruko that he loves her, and kisses her. The kiss ends with the Pirate King emerging from Naota and escapes the Earth, and ultimately escaping Haruko. So after all of this happens, we get shown and told an epilogue. Haruko goes back to the search for the Pirate King in space. Mamimi wants to become a photographer and leaves town, and Naota keeps going to school and continues being a kid, albeit a little more mature. Something I took note of is how FLCL showed a lot of different examples of characters being stuck. Mamimi being stuck in the past and unwilling to accept what has happened. Naota living purely in a false present that makes him think he is more mature than he actually is. And Haruko, who is willing to sacrifice anything and anyone for the future that she wants. But we also see how they deal with this. Mamimi moving on in life, living more in the present and looking towards a better future. Naota actually maturing and accepting that some things might just not be meant to happen. And then there's Haruko. Some people, no matter how much push comes to shove, are unwilling to move on. Haruko is among these people. I'll let you decide if that's out of determination or stubbornness. There's still a ton more that I want to say on it, and probably also a ton that I missed, but I don't think I'd know how to formulate it, and I'm not even sure if what I wrote down and spoke out loud made any sense anyway, but I hope it did. At least to some of you, maybe, perhaps. But even if it didn't, I still want to thank you all for watching.